Hello to all of our Moral Fury audience out there. We're going to get right into the headlines today. Mega church pastor cites most misused verse in the Bible.
2 Corinthians 5:8. Talking about that.
No. 1 Timothy 6:10, for the love of money is the root of all evil. But I like yours too.
I think so. Okay. Tornado season is upon us, and many have already swept across this great country.
Yes.
Just causing all kinds of havoc and chaos. Pastor of Peace Church in Stillwater, Oklahoma says, prepare your church, and offers many tips to do that. What the goal is for his church members to be the hands and feet of Christ and to assist when disaster strikes.
Preparedness, so that's a good thing. Getting back to that evil thing, that's an interesting... that's our weather alarm. We have severe weather. I believe it's time to assume the position. Okay, here's the disaster relief bag. I was just looking for that. You can take the helmet off. Rico accidentally hit the weather alarm. There's no disaster.
Well, it gives us some time
Yeah, exactly. Well, we
to
were
talk about.
just getting ready. I was saying the topic of evil is a very interesting topic, and I, what is the reason for evil? Why does evil exist? Who's responsible for evil? Yeah. I mean, what's your who's responsible for evil? What do you?
Our Creator, God, has to be responsible for all things.
Yeah.
So, it means all things.
Right. Well, it immediately takes me to verse Isaiah 45:7, which says, former of light, creator of darkness, maker of good, and creator of evil, I, Yahweh, make all these things. And he's saying right there, creator of evil.
That credits God himself for evil.
We talk about headlines, the natural disasters, and we talk about the shootings, like a shooting at a church, and how in the world can that happen?
Right.
And what's the meaning behind that? That's tough stuff to talk about sometimes.
Very tough.
Yeah. Evil is.
Right. It's just not easy to understand or
No.
how could we or why would we credit God doing some evil things? Why would he do those things? And I don't know that we fully understand. I just know all things. If he's a God that's all powerful, in control, we want to believe he's in control, all knowing. We say we believe those things. So let's give him responsibility and credit for everything.
Right.
That gives me hope that somehow evil will pay off. It might not tomorrow or not in this life.
Right. You've said before, there's no justice in this world.
No.
So there has to be justice somewhere else.
It's got to be.
And I like that.
It has to be coming.
I'm thinking how often that is always flipped, and it's, Satan did something. Satan was responsible for some of the evils that happen in our world, but then Satan was a creation.
Right.
And I don't know how I ever thought about how this creation suddenly chose a different path than God. Did God intend for him? Now today my belief is, God has a purpose for all things.
Right.
That's interesting. When you go all the way back to Noah, we don't say Satan caused it to rain until the earth was engulfed with water and every living thing drowned. We know.
Or the greatest evil that has happened
Oh, yes.
in this time period.
This eon, yeah. You're talking about the crucifixion.
Yes.
Yeah.
The crucifixion of God's own Son. But was that in the mind of God? Was that a plan? Or did that take God by surprise?
Yeah.
And this is an evil thing because obviously it's one of the greatest evils that was done. He's an innocent man.
Right.
That's now being crucified.
Right.
So that's an evil thing just right there for that time period.
Yeah.
In the eyes of the people looking, in that community, hey, why is that innocent man being crucified?
Right. Well, the movies, the depictions of the crucifixion, they're horrible to watch. Ultimately, what did it mean?
Mhm. Yeah. Has good come out of that?
Yeah, quite a lot.
And does that give us hope that in the evil that we experience and other people experience, which this world is full of,
Yeah.
we don't have to go any further than death, and that somehow work in the future
Mhm.
for their ultimate good?
Mhm.
And so,
I think 2 Corinthians 5, 18, 19, and 20 tell us, in the Concordant Literal New Testament, it reads like this. Yet all is of God, who conciliates us to himself through Christ, and is giving us the dispensation of the conciliation. How that God was in Christ, conciliating the world to himself, not reckoning their offenses to them, and placing in us the word of the conciliation. For Christ then are we ambassadors, as of God, entreating through us. We are beseeching for Christ's sakes, be conciliated to God.
that's excellent.
Yeah, that is tremendous.
And the commentary, A.E. Knox commentary, I'll just read that.
Okay.
Or start 2 Corinthians 5:18.
Yeah.
That's kind of where you started.
Yeah.
All is of God. This is the key to real evangelism. Here we have, in brief, the heart of the true evangel for the world in this administration of grace. The keynote is conciliation. Not the sinner conciliating God by penance or prayers, but God conciliating the sinner. The sinner may be most offensive and insulting, but God does not reckon their offenses against them. Let this be clear. God is not charging men with their sins, for Christ died for sins. This is sometimes a little different than what
Then what we're told.
we're told.
Yeah.
He's not pressing their offenses, for he is bent on conciliation. The evangel is not concerned with the sinner at all, but with God's attitude toward him and with the sufferings of Christ. He has placed in us not the message of judgment, but the word of conciliation.
Mhm.
So, and that's what Paul was after his whole time. He has good news to tell people.
Right.
And ultimately is that God's okay. God's not mad
Right.
at people. He's not mad at you anymore.
No, he is conciliated to us. That means at
Through
peace
his son.
to us
Because it's
through the actions of Christ on the cross.
right, not what we're doing.
Not what we're doing, not what we're requesting, not what our performance is. He conciliated himself to us. It wasn't a two-way street, it was a one-way street.
Right.
And God took care of it.
That's
and
good
why
news.
that's fantastic
That's
news.
great
And
news.
why we can't rest in that,
Right.
and why we can't hear that as an affirming message that God is at peace with us. Recognizing that, Paul beseeches us to be at peace with God.
Right. That's where, yeah.
You know,
with that message, with that fact.
once
that
you have that
fact.
fact and it's within you, you're like, oh, I can have peace with God.
Mhm.
That's tremendous news.
Right.
Real good news.
It's great news. In this world of disasters.
That's right. Okay, until we meet again. There's no evil that doesn't come with some good in it.